When given the opportunity to sink or swim, you're going to try to swim every time, no matter what. Hey guys, it's Dan Greer coming at you today with Forged for your 5-minute power up. Today we're chatting all about sink or swim. Time to run, baby. So here's the big thing I want you to think about, and this is like true. If you're ever given the opportunity, if you're thrown in the middle of a pond, you are not just going to sit there and do nothing. I got my sensors going off of my truck. It snowed last night. There's some snow on it, but roads are nice and clear. Anyways, if you're given the opportunity to sink or swim, you're going to do something. You get thrown, you get dropped off in the middle of a lake, you get thrown in the middle of the ocean, you get dropped off in a pond. What's going to happen? You're going to swim, you're going to try to swim, you're going to move your arms, you're going to try to stay afloat, or you're just going to sit there and like not move, right? You're going to move. You're going to do stuff. You know why you're going to do stuff? Because you have the want to grow. You have the will to get to the next level. And here's the truth. Here's what I want you to truly understand about this, is that when you get to the next level, you stop fighting and you start progressing in ways you never thought you would before. So like, think about this for a second. Life is no different than being thrown in the middle of the ocean. Every project you jump into, everything you do, is going to be like being tossed in the middle of the ocean. You have two options. You can sit there and do nothing all freaking day on a Saturday and a Sunday and say, oh, what a great weekend, I didn't do crap. Or you can get out there and get something done. You can make a difference. You can make movements. You can change. You can move to the next level. You can work to finish the project you're starting. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not the person who's sitting around doing nothing on the weekend. I'm just saying, I don't attract people like that. That's not who I am. And so if you're that person, you're probably not listening to this. You're probably more of a driven person if you're here, if I'm being honest with yourself, being honest with me. So that is something I want you to think about. That is something that I want you to consider, is like, what is stopping you from moving forward right now? You're in the middle of this ocean of a problem. Whatever it is, it's your ocean, it's your lake, it's your problem. And you're watching the boat take off after it dropped you there. Are you just going to sink, or are you trying to make a plan as to how to get to shore and where to go? Right? Like, you see what I'm saying? You see where I'm coming from? Why are you doing that in real life? Why are you looking at a project and not doing it? And not doing it because you're scared. Why are you getting paralyzed because you don't want to move? You hear what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't do it if you were dropped off in a lake. You wouldn't just sit there and drown. You would try to get to the edge of the lake. You would try to swim. Even if you failed, you would swim. And what would happen by the time you got to the edge? You would probably have figured out a few new techniques that will help you get there. That'll help you next time you're dropped off in the water, right? I was listening to this. It might have been a devotional. It might have been a podcast. I don't remember. It might have been a book. But might have been a John Maxwell book, actually, if I remember correctly. But he talked about two groups in a college class, and there was two ways to get an A. One was you had to craft the most pots. It was a pottery class. One was you had to craft the most pots. Whoever crafted above X amount of pots got an A in the class. The next group was whoever crafted the best pot got an A in the class. So if you had one perfect pot, it would be the best pot, and you would get an A in the class. And so the two groups, and out of all the groups, like the potters, the people in the class who turned out 1,000 pots that semester, actually produced the best pots by the end of the class. Why is that? It's because they took action on what they were doing. They moved forward with where they were at. The people who tried to create the best pot, they took all the time to craft and skill it. They weren't working on their skills. They were taking all this time to design it, to make it perfect. Well, the people who were actually doing the crap were getting better at it every day. So that's a question you got to ask yourself. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it and get better at it by learning by trial to fire? Or do you want to hope for the best and fail and still not be that great? Get out there, take action, swim to the side of the lake. We'll talk to you guys later.